Hey, another episode of the Thomas Eriksen podcast. This is episode 3, and this will also be the first time I try to include a guest on the show. And that guest, or guinea pig, test rabbit, or whatever you call it, is Rob Sax, the bass player of my band Mork. So we will have a conversation going a bit later. And I actually gone out of the way to obtain some new studio gear this time around. I have bought myself an SM7B Shure microphone, which is a proper vocal microphone, I've been told. From before, I have a Neumann 103, I believe, which is also quite high quality actually, but I needed another one because I do want to have the ability to include guests on this podcast. So there you go. And to keep you up to date on how Mork is doing during the epidemic, I have to be honest and tell you that it's going better than ever, actually. Concerts are being cancelled, and not that is a positive thing. I will come back to this. Only yesterday or the day before, we actually cancelled the European tour. We were supposed to be included in May with the British black metal band Winter Filleth. It's sad to see those kinds of things go, because that was supposed to be Mork's first proper full tour actually of Europe with the Nightliner. I think perhaps I mentioned this before, but now it's official, it's cancelled, but it's postponed. So the booking agency, which as of this week actually is Mork's booking agent as well for Europe and Russia. Quite proud of that, because their roster is awesome and people say good things. Doomstar Bookings, who is also handling the Winter Filleth Mork tour, will be looking, or have already been looking into new possible dates in 2021. So there's hope. Only get rid of this freaking epidemic bullshit and the virus shit. Get it out of the way, get it over and done with, and we can carry on. I have been in and out of my own studio and different studio with new Mork material the past couple of weeks. We are actually in the mixing process, and so there you go. Things are happening. But the day before the last, I actually just sat around and had some spare time basically, and I decided to record a cover song over again actually. Back in 2012 I recorded the Bursum track Valen of the Fallen album, which came out in 2011. So it was basically the year after it was originally released. I remember hearing that track for the first time and just completely falling in love with it. It has to be one of the most beautiful black metal songs that I know of. It really hit me in between the eyes, you know. And over the years I have fooled around with the idea of just stripping away everything rough about the track and just keeping the beautiful part And in my mind, and the way I have approached this has been sitting around with my acoustic guitar from time to time and just play the song, you know, and just jammed it acoustically. And I am a clean vocalist as well as doing this growling and grim vocals. So I have just naturally hummed and I have sang the song instead of growling it as it's originally done by Varg and myself. So I have just made up a melody of my own. And finally, as I told you, the day before the last, I actually sat down and recorded the acoustic guitar, and I recorded vocal tracks for this acoustic Mork version of the song. And I took it to the other studio where I am currently mixing the new Mork album. And my friend Freddy Holm, he got really turned on by the idea about this, because he is he comes from metal, you know, back in the day. He's like 10 years older than me, but he evolved into being more about dynamics and acoustic instruments and different genres. So when I bring an acoustic idea to him, he just ignites all fuses, and he sees possibilities to make this hard, but not in a metal kind of way, as you heard on the track. Because as of this recording, the track, it will be released on YouTube in 50 minutes from now, actually. I have just planned it on the YouTube servers to be released at 6 o'clock Norwegian time tonight. And this episode is probably published some days later. So it's always a concern, you know, when you do something different, because there's always naysayers and people who have their own opinions about what is allowed and what is not allowed within black metal. But to me, black metal is not only about brutality and harshness. What made me fall in love with black metal from the beginning was actually what scared me in the beginning, the first time I ever heard this stuff, was that beneath all the rough necro sounding heavy guitar stuff, there were actually underlying beauty to it, which brings out that mystique in black metal, which I love sincerely. Melodies, it doesn't have to be complicated stuff, but just some simple melody stuff in there somewhere, and tonalities, it really gives it depth in a good way, in a deep way. So that's why I did this cover the way I did. I basically sing it with clean vocals. And there are some grim vocals in there, but we decided on the spot to just put that on there as a little effect, and it turned out quite cool. I still use the original material from the song. However, my version is shortened quite drastically, because the song, I think originally on the album it's about 9 minutes or something. And the version I put out on YouTube is about 3.5 minutes long. So it's basically an intro, a verse, a chorus, an intro, a verse, a chorus, an outro. So there's a lot of song missing. But I just decided to do it this way because it was only for fun, you know. I only did it on the fly. So I hope Mr. Vikernes doesn't mind. It's basically it's a total tribute to his work, and that song has meant a lot to me since the release. So as I wrote in the liner notes on the YouTube upload, take it as you may. You might hate it, you might love it, I don't know. To me, it's pure, and I'm proud of it. And it's fun to have things like this just happen like this. You know, just out of nowhere, just a little idea turns into this final product. That's also the beautiful thing about music, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed it. Well, enough of my yapping. Here's my conversation with Rob, Mork bass player. Let's see how it goes. Ja, for helvete. Ja, men
nå ble du sånn rar. Nå forsvant du på andre øret. Der, ja.
Nå er det... Oi, nå ble du jævlig høy.
Nå ble jeg jævlig høy nå.
Ja, nå skal du slutte å røke så jævlig. Så. Ja. Da er jeg klar for å snakke litt engelsk, ja?
Yeah, we shall try.
All right, we are back, and today I have the first ever guest on the podcast, and just as a guinea pig, it's Robin, the bass player of Mork. Hello.
Hello.
I can see you.
Yes.
There are sound waves on the recording gear. We talked about what the fuck are we going to talk about. So we figured out we will talk about experiences that the two of us have shared. And I'm not talking about sexual things.
No.
It's more Mork related stuff, obviously, where it's the only two of us. And one thing that came to mind is our trip to Granca, or Gran Canaria in Spain in December 2016.
The Canary Islands.
The Canary Islands.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened is that we received a call from this... It's actually a group of people, I think, who each year used to arrange a trip down to the Canary Islands, and they filled up a plane with Norwegians, and that is kind of a festival. So there's audience members and bands all gathered together on a plane, going to the islands and having a 2-day festival.
Yeah,
and basically partying in a week straight.
Yeah, it's a week-long trip, I think.
Yeah, and what happened is that this was like, I think it was a week before the trip, and we received a call where it was supposed to be Keep of Kalesin, that black metal / extreme metal band from Trondheim was supposed to play and headline, but they pulled out actually. And as I said, it's a week in advance, and they asked us to step in. And we fumbled around and called each member, and at the end of the day, only myself and Robin were the available ones.
Yeah,
that's right. Alex, he couldn't make it, and our drummer couldn't make it. So what happened is that we said, yes, we can do it, but we can do it as a trio, worst case scenario. And if you get a step-in drummer for us, then we can pull it off. And they did. They asked one of the other drummers of the trip, and he actually stepped up. So me and Robin got a free vacation week in the tropics. And we're looking through the pictures now on the big screen here, and I can see that The trip was quite early in the morning. It was like before 7 or something.
Yeah.
Jeg må ikke være flau, nå må vi prate mer, Robin. Just let it flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite early in the morning. And here's a picture of a beer and a pizza slice at the airport.
And I remember this. This was my beer and my pizza slice.
Yeah.
Were I the only alcoholic starting that early?
7 o'clock in the morning.
It's 6 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. It's always time for a flight beer.
That's true.
Yeah. Airport beer.
We arrived in the islands with all the travelers, and we all got into a big black bus.
Yeah.
What was the name of this thing? It was Canarias Hard and Heavy Tour or something.
A meeting, hard and heavy meeting.
Hard and Heavy Meeting.
Yeah.
And then this is a festival, as I said earlier, which has been going for, I don't know, 10 years or something.
I think that was the
10th year.
Yeah.
And this is hosted by the Norwegian metal. I think actually it's partly Norwegian, partly Mexican magazine called Helvete magazine is the hosts of the tour. I'm not sure if the magazine is relevant anymore, but it was back then. And I can see here on a picture of myself, selfie in the mirror. I got a black T-shirt with all pink print. And it's a Flying V guitar with a palm tree as a headstock. And there's all the bands. So the headliners were Mork and Triosphere.
Yeah.
Let's see. And the drummer who stepped in for us, that's Ole Myrholt. He played with a band called
Those Left Behind.
Those Left Behind, which is a death metal band. He played with them on the tour, or on the trip, whatever you want to call it. And today he has his own old school black metal band, atmospheric black metal band called Myrholt, which is awesome. You should check it out. Ole is a really nice chap, and he stepped up on such a short notice. And as I flip the picture here, I can see it's a photo of a rehearsal, and that means that Ole came to our door at the hotel, to my and Robin's hotel room door, and we basically he used his I can remember if he had drumsticks or only used his fingers on the table, but me and Robin, we played unplugged electric guitar and bass.
Oh, I think just you played.
Only me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were just drinking beer, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I sat on the porch and drank.
And we didn't have a stereo or anything. We had my crappy iPhone and with the songs, you know. And as you can imagine, the early Mork songs, this is like from the first 2 albums, and it's quite necro. So not that audible. So we had to put, just to amplify the sound somewhat, we put the phone inside a kitchen pot.
That was pretty necro.
It was pretty necro, but the sound got amplified somewhat. But yeah, we rehearsed. Let's call it that.
But we did also had a real rehearsal at the rehearsal room.
True.
Yeah, we think we got to borrow a rehearsal room.
That's true.
Yeah.
I can't recall which band that belonged to, but it was a nice guy on the island actually who had this fully geared rehearsal room with full drum kit with double kick drums and Marshall stacks and everything. So that was perfect. So we used a couple of hours in there, I think.
Yeah. Drank beer and
as we do. It was not Misan-Tropic, but it was Misan-Tropic. Black metal. It's a picture of, for those of you who are getting to know the band now, we call Robin Bobby in the band. And here's a picture of Bobby on the porch, smoking a fag, and okay. You know, a cigarette is a fag in England, right?
Yeah.
It is.
But it sounds
funny.
Yeah. Sure.
It was great, you know. We can imagine it was tropical with palm trees and hot weather and everything. It's not quite black metal, but it's nice.
Yeah, but it was nice to get away from the Norwegian winter.
That's true, because this was in December.
Yeah.
And the venue, I can't remember what. Yeah, it says here, right? Actually, it's La
Chosa.
Chosa is the venue, and that was a rock club, which was located beneath a shopping mall. And beneath this shopping mall, there were a lot of just empty hallways, and this club was the only thing that was open, besides swinger clubs.
I think there was a swinger club.
Gay clubs.
Yeah, and gay club.
Well, that was a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. We didn't went to the other places though.
You didn't went?
No, we went.
No, we didn't
go there.
We didn't go there.
No.
But we stood outside, and that was funny enough. I can see a picture here of the other band, one of the other bands who were playing, a band that I have actually been in for a short while, Profane Burial.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually made all the guitars for that first album. They played with a new guitarist and a full band, and it sounded great. I'm not sure how much.
Great guys.
Yeah, obviously, but I'm not sure how active they have been since.
And I think it was me on the first row there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
I was really drunk that night.
Was it the mattress night?
Yeah, it might be. No, I think that was the day after.
You were drunk several nights. Should we go into detail on the mattress thing? Mattress? The mattress incident?
Yeah, go ahead.
We, as we told you, we spent a week down there, and when you got nothing to do but to await your gig night, obviously you drink. At least we did, and the rest of the entire travel party. And one of the nights I got home a bit later than Bobby, actually. And I remember going into our bedroom where we had two separate beds, and I turned on the light because I figured something was off, something was wrong in there, and I flipped on the light, and I only saw the bottom of the mattress. It was a naked, like spring bed, and a mattress on the side with on the side tilted up, and I just went around that, and this room happened to have a concrete floor, and there was Bobby in his underpants just smashed into the concrete floor and sleeping. You know, I don't think he even noticed that he crashed.
There were small beds.
Yeah, small, and the bed was the mattress was almost harder than the concrete floor.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but we lived through it. Romeo and Julio, gay club.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Happy Campers. I thought one of the last days that we should perhaps move our asses a little bit and not just only sit around drinking beer. So I pulled Bobby out and we went for a stroll around the city. And the city was Playa de Inglés.
Yeah, that's right.
And that city is, I think it's situated all the way down south on one of the main Canary Islands, I think. And there's this kind of well-known spot down there, which it doesn't fit in with the rest of the, what can I say, island, the scenery. It's a small portion of the island which is actually sand dunes, as you have in Sahara Desert.
Yes.
And we went down there because that's situated just next to the city.
Yeah, it's called Mas Palomas, isn't it? That Sundance.
So you even know that?
Yeah.
I did not know that. And I remember the first time I went down there, I was quite fascinated by it. So when I went back this time around with Mork, I had to visit it again. Let's see.
That's the last day, I think, at the Turbo pub, was it?
It was two metal pubs on Gran Canaria, as far as I know it. And Turbo is one of them, and the other one is just next door, but I can't remember the name. So we had some gatherings down there, and I can see a picture here of some Mork merch. This is 2016, so we didn't have that much stuff. It's the old logo T-shirt, and it's a T-shirt with the second album on it. And I see there's a vinyl for the second album, and there's the first demo and some stickers. So this is quite early on. I think I perhaps sold one item down there. At that gathering anyway. We sold a bunch more after the show though, because there were local people actually attending the show.
Yeah.
Who we met in the hallway afterwards.
Yeah. That's right.
And I went on a sightseeing because I'm that kind of guy. And then Bobby stayed back just protecting the beer.
Yeah. Of course.
And we met Björn Erik, which is a good friend of ours. Postman, Björn Erik. Let's see here. There's plenty of drunken pictures in here. Typical for us from Halden, we drink a lot of Fernet Branca, which is this herb liquor from Milan. And I can see here when you go to a bar and ask for a Fernet, you usually get a shot glass with 4 centiliters. But here we obviously got a milk glass full. So when you go to Granca, they want to have you drunk. So
it's
you can
hard
spend
to
more.
stay sober.
It's hard to stay sober. True. You can talk about this, Bobby.
Yeah, this is the last day and our first day at the beach.
Beat that. We are spending 1 week on a otherwise beach holiday kind of place, and we didn't even touch the beach until the very last day, and then we just had to.
And you went for a swim as well, didn't you?
It was cold as fuck.
Yeah. I got a Thai massage.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You got lubed up good.
Lubed up. Very nice.
Get all those drunken tension knots out of your body.
Yeah.
And that's it, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we are through that experience. We have gone through the pictures here that I could find of the Mork trip to the Misan-Tropic Islands. I don't know if you want to have some final thoughts on the experience.
I don't know. It was a great trip, and yeah,
Spontaneous,
spontaneous. Yeah,
just jump in and do something on short notice, and we actually all credit where credit is due. Ole, he really did a good job. We actually played all the tracks or all the songs without mistakes.
yeah.
The only thing, if I'm going to be nitpicky, is that a couple of the songs went a bit too fast in tempo.
Yeah, maybe.
And that is like nothing.
No.
So overall, it was a well-accomplished trip, I would say. And we got a free week vacation on the top of it. So met some nice people and had a good time. So we'll see if we will have Bobby back here or not. Do you wanna,
of course.
You want to come back?
Yeah, I always want to come back.
Awesome. Yeah. See you next time. All right.